I offered my broke best friend a job, but he refused it, saying serving jobs have no respect. To say the least, it all has plunged me into guise of hurt feelings, chakras of frustration, and all honesty, matter-of-factly, number of lost situations. I'm friends with Ethan, M33, for more than 10 years. We met in college, bonded over a shared love of video games and bad pizza, and have been inseparable ever since. Or at least I thought we were. However, today something happened that left me wondering about everything in our friendship. Let me back up a bit. Ethan has been financially struggling for some time now. Like really struggling. He has not had a steady job in a year, and whatever savings he had are long gone. He has even had to ask his parents for money for his basic expenses, which I know has been humiliating for him. But here's the thing. I have been trying to help him. I've thrown him a lifeline many times, and he continues to reject it. And why he finally told me today, it cut deeper than I was braced for. Ethan studied computer science, which looks good on paper. But here's the thing. He's never actually worked in the field. Not even for a single day. Since graduating, he has rejected every job offer that has been thrown his way. The salary wasn't high enough, the role wasn't senior enough, the organization wasn't prestigious enough. You name it, he's had a reason to turn it down. Instead, he's been playing around with Forex trading, which, as best I can tell, is essentially just gambling but with more steps. He says he earns about $20 a day, but I'm fairly certain that's not even accurate anymore. He's broke, anxious, and forever kvetching about money, but when it comes to taking the kind of job that he considers beneath him, he'd rather starve. Now let's talk about me. I'm a server at an upscale restaurant. It's not my dream job, but it puts food on the table, and I've busted my behind to be where I am. I have a good relationship with my boss and take pride in doing my job well. When I noticed Ethan having difficulty, I didn't hesitate to provide him with a job at the restaurant. My boss was even ready to jump him ahead to a full-time position on my recommendation. But whenever I mentioned it, Ethan would dismiss me with vague excuses. I didn't press him too much because I didn't want to embarrass him, but I also was bewildered as to why he wouldn't take the job. It's not that he had choices. Fast forward to today. Ethan called me sounding more desperate than usual. He said his parents had finally cut him off and wanted to know if he could borrow some money. I sympathized with him, I truly did. But I have a personal policy of never lending money to friends. It's a policy I established long ago after witnessing too many friendships ruined over unpaid debts. Instead, I gave him the same response I have for months now, a job at the restaurant. I told him he could begin tomorrow if he was so inclined. But once again, he said no to me. This time, however, I was not willing to walk away. Point blank, I asked him why he kept turning down the job. Initially, he deflected, but after some back and forth, he finally admitted what I suspected. He believes working as a server is low, and he's afraid of people losing respect for him if he took the job. I was stunned. I mean, I knew Ethan could be a bit self-important at times, but I never dreamed he'd feel superior to me like that. I asked him if he thought that I was low for working as a server, and he quickly backpedaled. He didn't mean me personally, he said, just the job itself. But then he doubled down and added something that really hurt. No one can respect you for being a waiter in your 30s. Ouch. I didn't know how to respond. I'm always prideful in my work, regardless of what it is. I have a degree as well, but like many, had a hard time finding a job in the field I studied for after graduation. I grabbed the first job I could and I clawed my way up since then. I'm not ashamed of that. But hearing Ethan tell me these words that almost invalidated everything I've worked for, hit me hard. I told him it was offensive and he should think about what he just said. But rather than seeking forgiveness, he doubled down. He began listing them off. Other jobs he considered low, like street sweepers and cleaners, and said it was just a fact that those jobs weren't respected. I wanted him to apologize before it turned into a full-blown argument, but he wouldn't. He said he stood by what he had said. I literally do not know how to process this. On the one hand, Ethan is my best friend. We have been through a lot together and I don't want to destroy it over one stupid argument, but at the same time, I can't disregard how much his words hurt me. How can he say that he respects me as a person if he has such disdain for the work I do? And how could he say I'm low when I do what I needs must to survive if he is still one of my friends? I've never been an uptight person. I have no grudges and I'm all about forgiveness. But this feels different. This isn't just what Ethan said. It's what it says about the person behind the words. He's so caught up in his own ego that he'd rather be poor and miserable than take a job he thinks is beneath him. And rather than thanking me for the assistance I've provided, he's insulted me in my work. I don't want to overreact, but I wonder if I can continue being friends with someone who has such a low opinion of me. I've never understood how respect is given, by earning it through hard work and doing what it takes, whatever that may look like. But Ethan appears to believe respect is something you are entitled to, no matter your behavior. And honestly, that is the last type of person I want in my life. I don't know what to do next. Some of me would prefer to sever ties with Ethan and move on. I get, though, that is just a wake-up call, for both of us. Maybe Ethan needs to do some soul-searching about why he's so hung up on appearances. And maybe I have to rethink what I'm willing to put up with from the people I consider friends. For now, I'm going to give myself some time to cool off and think about things. But one thing's certain, this friendship will never be the same.
Here are some comments under OP's post.
Be grateful, to be really honest, that he didn't took the job, because someone with that attitude wouldn't last long and would ruin your rep in the process. Honestly, like, don't even keep him as a friend. It does not seem you benefit much from the friendship anyway.
Funny. Too good to be a waiter. He's too good to work as a waiter, but not too good to ask if he can borrow money from a waiter because he's too pathetic to go out and earn his own living to support himself. It's easy. Remove the job from the table because he doesn't appreciate or respect it, and it's only going to end badly for you and your generous boss. Don't loan anything to your friend and let him find his own out of his mess. Simple life lesson coming.
Update: the new heights of my best friend's entitlement. I know I posted here yesterday for some advice regarding the whole best friend situation with Ethan. As a refresher, Ethan has been broke for over a year and his parents have cut him off financially, and he's been declining my repeated offers to help him find a job at the restaurant where I work. Things reached a breaking point yesterday when he asked I lend him some money, and I once again offered him the job instead. That's when he finally admitted that he believes that serving is low and won't bring him the respect of people. It goes without saying that I was wounded and offended. Today, however, took an even stranger turn. Ethan called me and I thought perhaps, just perhaps, he'd had a change of heart. Perhaps he'd realized how ridiculous he was being and wanted to swallow his pride and take the job. But no. Instead, he hit me with a list of demands that left me completely speechless. He began by explaining that he had thought it through and had concluded that he was willing to take the job, but only with certain conditions, like he was doing me a favor. His first condition: he wanted the manager role from the jump. Not a server, not even a shift supervisor. No, he wanted to be manager. His second condition: he wanted to live with me so I could take him to work every day. Apparently, the 35-minute bus ride from his place to the restaurant was, too much of an hassle. And his third condition? He said that I should shift my youngest daughter to my older daughter's room so that he could have her bedroom for himself. I literally could not believe what I was hearing. It was so audacious that it left me speechless. You could have pride, sure, but this was next-level entitlement. Ethan has no experience working in a restaurant. He does not know the menu, he does not know how to serve customers, and he sure as hell does not know how to manage a team. And now he thinks he can just waltz in and get a fucking manager job. It's laughable. But what bothered me most was how he casually proposed rearranging my family's living quarters to accommodate him. My daughters share a room. It is what works for our family. The thought of displacing one of them so that Ethan could have his own space he hasn't earned and doesn't deserve, was more than offensive. It was as if he didn't even perceive how his demands would impact me or my family. He only cared about his own comfort and ego. I was so taken aback by his audacity I didn't know how to respond. I told him that I did not want to talk and I hung up the phone. I needed some time to digest what just happened. I hung up disgusted, as if a switch had flipped inside my head. I've always known Ethan to be mildly self-centered, but this was a whole new ballgame. It was like he had lost touch with reality completely. I cannot understand why someone would repeatedly turn down help simply out of pride. Ethan is broke. His parents have disowned him. He's really struggling. He was living off $20 a day or thereabouts that he supposedly earned trading Forex before his parents ceased to support him and started paying his rent and bills. But even that's dried up now. He hardly eats, he cannot afford new shoes, and he's always worried about money, and yet he still refuses to take the job I'm offering him. It doesn't make sense. Ethan isn't shy. He has no mental health issues that would inhibit his ability to work. He knows people and doesn't have a problem talking to people. He's just entitled. He's refused to take a job innumerable times in his life, even jobs in his field of computer science, because those jobs were not good enough. He apparently believes he is entitled to a $140,000 and high-status position straight out of school, even though he has zero relevant experience. It's delusional. I'm trying to be patient with him. I have tried to reason with him. But after our conversation today, I'm beginning to think my wife is right. She's been telling me for years that I've been too nice and patient with Ethan, and that it's time to cut him off and let him deal with it himself. I didn't want to believe her, but now I'm starting to get her drift. Ethan isn't merely struggling, he's actively refusing to help himself. And I can't keep banging my head against the wall to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. What I really don't get is how different his attitude is from his parents. His father drives a bus and his mother is a retired teacher. They are some of the humblest, most down-to-earth people I've ever met. They have worked hard all their life to support their family, and they have always been kind and generous. But even they have a breaking point. They've been fighting financially themselves, and yet they've been supporting Ethan for years. His mother even resumed working as a tutor at 70 just to help make ends meet. It is absolutely beyond shameful the fact that Ethan would allow it, even if it meant making his elderly mother do such while he lounges at home. I didn't know what happened to Ethan. He wasn't always like this. He was ambitious yet down-to-earth when we were younger. He had dreams, but he understood that reality existed too. Somewhere along the way that changed. It could have been the pressure to live up to his degree or fear of failing. Whatever it was, it's made him into a person I hardly recognize. I've been thinking a lot about our friendship lately. I have always believed in supporting your friends through thick and thin, and now I'm beginning to understand the difference between supporting someone and enabling them. I've been enabling Ethan by constantly offering him help and making excuses for his behavior, and that's not helping either of us. My wife believes it's time to cut the cord and separate from Ethan. As much as I hate to say it, I think she's right. I don't know if I'm ready to write him completely out of my life, but I do know that we cannot keep going on as we have been. Ethan has his own path to carve out, and I need to take care in my own life and family. This entire situation has been an eye-opener for me. It has reminded me how important setting boundaries is, even with the people you love, and it's forced me to think more deeply about the people in my life who have humility, a strong work ethic, and groundedness. People like my wife, my children, and even Ethan's parents. They're the ones who are worthy of my time and energy, not someone who views me and my work with disdain and refuses to do a damn thing to help himself. I'm still angry, and I'm hurt still, but I'm also relieved. Finally seeing Ethan for who he really is, and finally free, finally relieved that I don't have to keep trying to fix something that is beyond my control. I know it's the best thing to do, but it's not going to be easy.
So what would you have done in his shoes? Do you continue to try to help a friend who won't help themselves? Or do you step away and let them work it out themselves? Is Ethan's pride warranted, or is he totally out of touch? And let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts. And if you have ever dealt with a friend or family member whose ego has gotten in the way of their life, share your story too. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. I appreciate your watching, and I will see you next time.